Rosy Hardy Gardening. Thank you so much for listening to our videos and watching them. This is January's Q&A. This is the second video for January. This is a question about fleecing, and somebody has bought some fleece bags which have got a drawstring at the bottom. I think that sounds a really clever idea, that you've already got something of different sizes which you just pull the drawstring and it covers over your plant material. Fabulous. You could also use them to insert the whole plant and the container in. I think that's great. So what they're asking is that they want to protect their Echium pinnata, and how long do they leave this fleece material over the top? Well, you can leave the fleece material over the top right the way through until the last signs of frost have disappeared. So the whole of the winter period into the early spring, you are perfectly safe to leave those fleece bags on there. And then once it is starting to get better light levels, the temperature has come up, then you can start to take these fleece bags off. If you are going to go a little bit cooler in nighttime, then perhaps you could just put them back on at night and just do that for a couple of weeks so that the plants get hardened off to the fact that they are actually out in the open again and they've got no protection. I've got another one here regarding the horticultural fleece video that I did, and do remember that we do have a series of all sorts of videos that you can go back and look at. Please do continue looking at those. So regarding horticultural fleece, they're wanting to know whether you can just cover the pot and soil without actually having to cover the top of the plant, or whether it is always best to cover the top of the plant as well, as long as you have enough fleece. I would always say the top of the plant and the soil is the best thing to fleece. If you have anything left over, or you maybe have some bubble wrap, put that around the pot. That is the best thing for that. But certainly the plant material itself and the actual soil area are the most important to cover if that's what you've got. If you haven't got enough fleece, then leave the pot bare. But the top bit is the most important to cover. Right, I've got another question here regarding what you do with plants when they've been frozen. And somebody said that their father had moved some Nanus potus plants into the garage, and the pot broke and he forgot to do something about it. So she's been in and she's repotted it, but the leaves are sort of falling off. There's a little bit of red liquid coming out of the stem. This sounds, I'm afraid, quite terminal. I think probably it is a little bit too late. However, you never know whether there is going to be something coming from below ground level and coming up. So I would leave everything there until the weather gets better and then put it outside, and it may recover, but by the sounds of things, I think it was too late. It's got completely frozen. It is going to die. So your better bet is probably just go for the jugular, throw out the plant, get a new one, put it into a new plant and start again. Another one on what to do with frozen plants. Someone was wanting to know whether or not they still water them while they're thawing or leave them alone. Well, the one thing to say about plants during the winter and into the early spring is do not water them. They don't need it. If the plants are dormant, just leave the pots. Technically put them somewhere where they don't get too much rainwater on them, that is fine, but do not add any more water, because all that will happen is that your pot will get sodden. So as it is thawing, yes, it will get a bit wet from that thawing, but don't do any watering then. Wait until the weather gets warmer, wait until the pots get warmer, wait until the plants look as though they're starting to grow, and then check first by putting a finger right the way down into not just the top layer, go down a little way and check that it is still damp or it's getting dry lower down. If it's getting dry, then water, but don't just water because you think you should. Always check that the plant is not already wet. On one of the most recent videos, the garden editing video, somebody has used one of my old plans, which was the shady border one. Thank you very much for doing that. I'm glad you've enjoyed it and doing. And now they're wanting to do their own, which is great. I love the fact that you are branching out and you are wanting to learn and carry on. That's the only way that you will understand your own garden, is by starting to plan yourself. So wanting to know whether or not the online ones that I've done were a special type of design app, or whether there was whether there was a program that we used. And the simple plans that have been done online were off a simple CAD system, which one of our members of staff had. So we don't actually do that ourselves. They did it for us. I tend to still stay with a good old pencil and pen and draw it out on paper myself, rather than having it on a video, or or on a system that is done on a computer. I'm old school. I prefer to do it that way. You can find little freebie programs which will help you. They're all as good as each other. If you're very good with computers, then go that way. But I have to say myself, I still prefer drawing it out by hand. Then I've got one who is a Gora lover and lives and has moved to Zone A and planted to see how they'll do. They didn't like the hot summers, but they've come back after the hot summers. They've made quite bushy, woody stems, and wanting to know if they should cut them back in any way. So if they have now gone into a dormant period and they're not looking very tidy, then all I would do is cut them to half height so that they don't rock around at all. And then if there is any material that you can take soft cuttings off, you could take a few soft tip cuttings. The only thing I would say about taking soft tip cuttings when it is the sort of winter time is you need a bit of heat, you need good light levels or artificial LED lights in there. So technically I think best to leave it be, just shorten the height, and then in the spring cut it right down and it will regrow from the base. And sounding with your Zone 9A, I would suspect that you will get brilliant spring growth on it. It will go slightly dormant in the summer, then you'll get really good autumn growth on it, and then just allow it to go through. Try them out, they are brilliant plants. Goras are really, really lovely. Thank you very much for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel.